Hello once again, my viewers, and welcome to TVET Practical Channel with your trainer, Mr. Mark Mariko. So in this episode, I had this rental painting works, which I did from this end all the way up to that end. So I've singled out this room, which now I'm going to show you how to do the painting from A to Z. So keep watching and do not forget to subscribe, please. So we want to take the measurement 3,600 millimeters. That is the length. The width is also 3,600 millimeters. And the height 2,600. So we are going to multiply the length up to here times the height up to there, and then we are going to deduct the voids, that is the door opening and the fourth, plus this window opening to get the net area now of the wall. The room that we have just measured was 3,600 millimeters, that was the length, and the width was 3,600 millimeters again. Turned into meters is 3.6 meters, and the width also 3.6 meters. So into 2, this one, because it is perimeter, you are having 14.4 meters. And the height was 2,600 millimeters, which translates to 2.6 meters. Now gross area is perimeter, which is length, times width, which is height, which is 2.6 meters, giving us 37.44 square meter. Now openings were for doors and window. As per our case, one door is having a height of 2,000 millimeters, which is translated to 2.0 meters, and the width of 1 meter. So because there were 4, giving us a total area of 8 square meter. Now, as per our case, it was only one window measuring 1.2 meter by 1.2 meter. So we multiply this by this, you get an area of 1.44 square meter. Now, gross openings now are 8 for doors plus 1.44 square meter for a window, which gives us 9.44 square meter. Now, net area, this one here, is gross area minus openings. So gross area was 37, that is this one, 0.44 square meter minus 9.44 square meter, giving us a net area of 28 square meter. So how to quantify paints in any given site is net area over liters per square meter. Now, let me show you something on the company's coverage manual.
Before you start any painting, you have to read the direction written here. And there are some information that we are very, very busy with here. So number 1 is the mode of application, which is this one. We can apply this one by use of roller or the brush. So as for our case, we are going to use both. Then thinning up to 10% by volume. Do not exceed that. And then the drying time is 15 minutes to 20. And then the recoating is 2 to 3 hours. So the first 3, very, very essential when doing painting work. And then the spread rate here is 8 to 10 square meter per liter. It is approximately depending on the texture and the process of the surface to be painted.
So with that in mind, we are going to divide the lowest because it was 8 to 10. So let us take the 8, which is the least, then divide by our net area here. So if we divide this one by this, and we divide this one by this, we're going to get 3.5 liters, which is approximately 4 liters. And because we're going to have 2 coats, this 4 liters is for 1 coat. Now for 2 coats, it's going to be 8 liters now. So for us to have 2 coats in this room, we're going to use 8 liters. Personal protective equipment, donning. We have safety boots, followed by nose mask, that is this one, here to protect me from inhaling the dust. And then we have the overall, the helmet, we have the goggles, that is this one. I must put this one to protect my eyes. So those were the PPEs that I must put on when I'm now doing the surface preparation. Now, these are the tools that I'm going to use when I'm going to do the work. So number one, I have the roller here. And number two, I have the aluminum rod, that is this one. I'm going to fix this one here like this. And then I use it to paint now the higher grounds instead of climbing the ladders all the time. And if I need it to be long, I have to loosen this part and then elongate it like this, if I need it to be that long. And if I need to be short, I simply squeeze it like this or move this lower part like that. So aluminum rod is very, very vital when doing the painting works, as opposed to climbing the ladders all the times. So I've mentioned the two, the roller and the aluminum rod. From there, let me just now put them down. I have the brush. This one I'm going to use to apply the paints where the roller cannot do, especially at the corners and at the base and at the near the windows. This one here, this is a 6-inch brush, very, very vital. And then I have the tape measure that I must use this one to take the dimension, especially when I'm doing the quotation. This one very, very vital. And then I have the scraper, this one. I'm going to scrape this unwanted material or loose materials before I start painting. And of course, I must have the broom. This one I use to wipe now the dust before I start doing the painting work. So those are the tools that I'm going to use. Now, these are the materials that I'm going to use. So number one is the paint contained in this pail, and it is cream, as you can see. And the quantity is 20 liters. And you can see the company is Basco Value. So it is cream, and let me show you how that cream looks like. It is this one. This is the cream I'm talking about. And the finish of this one is matte finish. It is a bit whitish like this, not glossy. So when it is wet, it looks like this. And then we have the polyfiller, this one, this PVC crack filler. We are going to use this one now to fill the cracks on the wall. Let me show you. These cracks now, we are going to fill them using that polyfiller that you are seeing there. So its main function is to fill this. And again, to fill these gaps that are being found within the frame and the wall, as well as these gaps that are being found within the frame and the wall, as well as these gaps that are being found within the switch and the wall. So we fill this to the extent that it looks like this lower surface now. You will not notice that there were these gaps. So that is the work of the filler now. At these big indents, this one here, you can see, we have the crack, this, and we have these indents. These ones here. This one must be filled with the filler so that you will not notice that there were these indents. And then we have the sandpaper, that is this one. As you can see, this is P80. This one is used to scrub the wall. Let me show you close range. So in case of these ones, you can take just like that, and then it be smooth. That is the work of sandpaper. So we have this one as our material, and it must be P80. We have P100, P120, P60. I recommend P80, this one.
And we have a rag. This piece of cloth, very, very vital to wipe the paint that might drop on the floor tile. We wipe with this one, or that the paint that are dripping along the. I'm going to show how it is being used. This one. We have this rubber band. This one must be there so that we can tie this scraper to this aluminum rod like this. So after tying, we can now use this one to scrape higher grounds. This one I'm going to show you how it is being used. Then we have polythene, that is this. We spread this one on the floor so that the paint drops on this. As you can see, I was working in other rooms yesterday. So the paints were dropping on this one and not on the floor tile. And in case they drop, you wipe with the rag that I've just shown you. That is this one. Last but not least, you must have plenty of water. That is this one, used to mix the paint. And then you are going to use it to wash your tools at the end of the work. So water must be in abundance, as well as even mopping the floor after finishing everything. So a wall like this one might look clean, but that is not the case. If you take a close look like this, you are going to see some unwanted cement sanskrit that splashed on this one when they were doing this job. And you cannot paint when the wall is having this. You are going to have a very, very bad outcome. So this one needs to be scraped like this, like that. So after scraping this being a cement screed, it must be sandpapered. Now let me show you. After doing this scraping now, you have to sandpaper this like that, so that eventually it is smooth. As for this, we are going to do the filling work with the polyfiller, but generally the surface is now smooth. So we are going to do the scraping of this and sandpapering so that we have smooth surface as this now. So surface preparation start with the scraping and then sanding this one. So it is that work that we are going to do the scraping and sandpapering. And first of all, we have to tie this scraper on this aluminum rod like this now. So after tying it like this one, and then you make sure it is rigid enough to do the work, then we put on this mask because it involves a lot of dust, and then put on the goggles now. Now ready to start the work of surface preparation. And surface preparation, we're going to start with the scraping. Now let us now start. And then where we have scraped like this one, do the sandpapering. So here it's done. Now I'm going to do the work to the entire room now. I want now to mix the paint, and when mixing the paint, you have to spread this polythene on the floor. Then this is our paint. You want to open this one. The starting point here for opening this one. recommendation from the manufacturer manual written here states that we must mix this one 20 liters by not more than 10%. So as for our case, it is 2 liters of water. You can see 2 liters, and an handkerchief like that. Then so this one is ready to be used on the wall now. Now our painting is going to start from this corner, and I'm going to go all around and then end the first coat at this corner. But now before I start, I must do the dusting. So I'm going to do the dusting all around and then start painting from this corner going this direction. Now that I'm through with the dusting, I want to start doing the painting, but I have to spread this. So I've spread this one here so that the paint does not drop on the floor. And then I'm going to place my paint there and then fix this aluminum rod to the roller like this. And make sure that it is firm. And then this joint again, I can elongate it or make it short, but as for now, let me use this length. So this being my paint, now this one, I'm going to dip my roller, and when dipping the roller, don't dip it direct, but rotate it like this, so that the paint just gets to the outside part. You do it round like this, not once. If you do it once, the paint is going to flow inside this hole now, and then it's going to fill this. There's a space just beneath these fibers. So the paint, after having filled that, they will drip through this hole and will disturb you quite a lot. So always drip it while rotating like this and not dipping it direct. So that is the procedure for dipping. So we are starting the painting work. As you can see, we have kicked off. Another point to note is that after you have dipped your roll around, before you proceed to the wall, please wipe the excess like that, and then you carry your roller to paint the wall, just like that. So this is the way the walls are being painted. Simply dip your roller, moving it around, and then do not take it direct. As you can see, it is dripping too much. Please wipe the excess like that, then you lessen the drippings. So that is the way we are going to do the work of painting. Pretty simple, all through, all through, all through, all through, and then back to this corner now. Stay tuned and do not forget to subscribe and share to your friends this good news for TVET Practicals channel. So you can now see I started from this corner and then move all this direction, and I'll come again, and I'm now going to complete the circuit of first coat at this corner again. Now, as for the brush, that is this one. This is 6-inch brush. It is used to paint these narrow surfaces where the roller could not do the work. Let me take you close range, these ones. So I dip it inside the paint like this, and then move it while rolling it on the air so that the weight of the paint does not surge towards the lower end, and then paint these surfaces which remained like this. Now I paint them using the brush. Now let me take you this one, this close range. This one now we paint them using the brush now. And even this down part, this part which remained, we paint all this using the brush. Simply like that. And then this edge, if there's any sag like this, then we paint this one all through using the brush now. All this which remained where the roller could not do, now we do them using the brush, just like that. And even this edge, we just paint them like that. And then this overlap, this one, plus the drip, we now wipe using the rag that I showed you. This is now the work of this rag. You cannot paint without a rag. So you wipe this excess like that and the drips. So you just wipe like that. So I'm going to use this rag to wipe any paint that has dripped on the floor and as overlapped as I'm going to paint that edge, you can see that remained. So and again, we use the brush, we dip inside the paint to paint these surfaces, these ones here, that borders the window, this one, because the roller cannot get inside this. So I'm going to paint all these walls that borders the window up to this downer part. This one now. So as per this case, you use the brush. And again, near the switches like this, these surfaces, we paint them using the brush now, like this. And then we paint them like that. On top of this one that borders the door, where the roller cannot go inside. These overlaps, you simply wipe them using the rag like that. Do not leave them to dry on those switches. They will not look that tidy. And so it is time to mix this PVC crack filler. So it is this one that we are going to mix so that we use it to fill those cracks. So we are going to mix it using a paint. So as per our case, I am pouring this one here. This is a paint. And then I mix it with this now. So I'm going to pour this here. And then I do the mixing now. So this one is ready for use. So I want to start with this around these switches. And then as for this, I'm going to do sandpapering. We proceed to this and we wipe the excess like that. And then we wipe the excess. As for these indents that I showed you, we simply fill them like that. And then we wipe the excess. This one here, we simply fill it like that. And then we wipe the excess. So I've filled this crack, this indent. What now remains is to sandpaper and then paint over it. As for this gap, which is between the frame and the wall, the filling is just done like that. And then we wipe the excess just like this. You cannot paint and then have these gaps now at the end of painting. It won't be that pleasant. You have to do it like this one and then you sandpaper, then you paint.
Now I'm through. As you can see close range, these white patches you are seeing are where there were cracks, and now I've filled them. So I did those fillings all the way up to this corner, and again all the way up to this corner, and I did that filling work again all the way up to this corner and back to where I started. So I'm going to wait for them to dry approximately 1 hour or two. So when they shall be dry, all of them, then I will come and sandpaper them and then do the second coat now.
And now it is time to do the sandpapering. As you can see this, so they must be sandpapered like this, to the extent that you don't notice the crack that was there. So let me do this one again. So these surfaces, there was a crack here, but now it has been filled, and plus the sandpapering, the wall is okay to receive the second coat. So I'm going to sandpaper all those white patches you are seeing. Those are the areas that I did the sandpaper work. So I'm going to do sandpapering all the way, all around, up to here. So I started covering these white patches, these ones, where we did the filling. So I've done it all the way round. You can see those patches all around, all around. And now I want to do this up to where I started, so that we are through with the covering up those patches of the fillers.
So I'm through with the covering of those patches. So let them dry, and then I do the final second coat.
Now, if you look at the wall, you cannot see any crack. I've filled them, I've sandpapered them, I've covered even the patches. So the patches are minimally visible, of which if I do the second coat, they will be now completely covered and the wall will be uniform without any crack. Now I'm going to start from that corner and I'm going to do the second coat, round, 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 and again, I'm going to complete that second coat at this corner. And it will be uniform and without any crack visible. And that is the outcome that I'm intending to have. So you can see I started from here, I've gone around, and now I've come back, and now I'm going to complete the circuit of the second coat at this corner. So you can see finally I'm through. I've completed the second coat, which I started from this corner. So I've gone around, I've gone round, I've gone round with that second coat, and then I finished where I started. So it has not dried. The parts you are seeing that are a bit white are the parts that have dried, while this part that seems to be more creamy like this now is still wet. When it is dry, it will appear like that uniformly. So that is the matte finish. So let me wait for 2 hours, then it shall be complete, and then I will show you the final result of how the matte finish looks like. Now the work is complete. You can see I was always starting my painting works from that corner, and I was moving this direction, and now the wall has dried. You can see how it is now uniform, no crack visible. There were holes around this switch. I filled them. You cannot now notice any hole. It is as if there were no any crack or any hole. As per that, the wall, even at a close range, there's no any crack. So the project is complete, and this is the matte finish as far as this project was concerned, and it was cream. You can recall there was a hole around this switch now, Right now, I fill them and I've painted everywhere. Now you cannot notice any crack now or any hole. Even between this frame and the wall, I filled it. And now you cannot see any gap. So that one will mark the end of this project, because now I'm through, and this is the matte finish. This is not gloss finish. This is matte finish, and that will mark the end of this session. And finally, now I'm through. The project is complete. Remember, I started from scraping to sandpapering to first coat to filling to sandpapering of those patches to covering of those patches, and finally the second coat, which when complete and upon drying, the work is now perfect. And now I'm urging you to subscribe and please give your comments below. Now, thank you so much for watching the session since I started up to now. As I've always said, TVET Practical Channel offers you an opportunity to watch how these practical works are being done in the field, instead of now telling you from theoretical perspective how there are some paints, how there are water paints and whatever. The TVET Practical Channel offers you an opportunity to watch how these things are being done in the field from A to Z. And as per now, I'm sure you as a trainee are in a position now to meet the following learning outcomes: assess the painting works, estimate quantity of paints, perform surface preparation, prepare painting materials, and finally you can now apply the paints. Watch the following photo to know the nature of the project which are supposed to be carried over the level 5 and 6, and then subscribe for part 2, how I did them. This one now is a bungalow one-story painting works, and it is roofed. So for you to manage such a magnitude of work, it is advisable for you, first of all, even if you are level 5 or 6, know how to paint, so that if you are handling the technician that are going to do the work, they can be 10, you know how to pinpoint the mistakes. Or else you can mess up with the whole house and then the owners sue you to pay everything. That's why TVET Practical Channel is offering an opportunity for you to know how to paint, so that if you have to manage this one, because most of the level 6 have the notion of management, you manage what to know, from scaffolding to management to demarcation of the area to mixing of paint, using the machine, the color chart. So it involves a lot of things to manage such a magnitude of work. So I managed this one sometimes back, and I'm going to show how I did it. Subscribe for part 2, how I did them. As per now, bye bye.